Welcome to the Nomadic Closer podcast, where the world is your office. We're here to help salespeople and entrepreneurs level up, break free from the 9-to-5, and live the location-free lifestyle. Each week, join us for real-life experiences from the pros, practical tips, and game-changing insights on how to succeed in sales, business, and life. This is the Nomadic Closer podcast.
Guys, how are we doing? Today we're sitting here with my good friend Ruh. Ruh is not just a friend, he's also my coach, my fitness coach, and trying to get me into shape, right? Not just physically, but also internally, mentally, and the whole lot. But we'll get into that. So I like to ask, first question on this podcast, we're in Bali. Why are you in Bali, bro? Like, what brings you to Bali?
It's been an interesting journey to get here.
Okay.
Bali, to be honest with you, was a bit of an escape for me and a new opportunity.
Right.
I have an interesting history, right? My childhood was a bit pain-filled, and I felt myself entrapped in being that same person. I felt like I was entrapped in being the same person my whole life. And it's because your environment dictates your kind of dialogue, your self-dialogue. There was triggers all the time. I needed some space to become the version of myself I've always knew I had the potential of being. And I knew, I've been to Bali twice before this as well, right?
Okay.
So
I was
just
just on holiday or?
Just backpacking, being
okay.
like, the shit face,
Yeah.
teenage days, right? I mean, like I was,
Living it up.
university kid, right?
That's it.
And I didn't experience it in the same way I'm experiencing it now. This is like a new life opportunity, whereas that was just its own form of escape and that experience as well, right? So yeah, it was something I was comfortable going towards. I love the digital nomad space. I love the environment here. The community is great. Love the beaches, tropical weather. I come from Vancouver, so Vancouver is pretty like rainy, overcast.
Cold as hell.
It's kind of beautiful sometimes. Like if you go there from like, I would say August, September. Yeah, no, not September. Like July, August. Fucking beautiful time to be in Vancouver.
But that's the thing, like a lot of people we speak to, they're like, yeah, I've come to Bali because I'm running away from something. Like, I've come to Bali to find myself. I've come to Bali to start a new life. And that's the nice thing about it, because you can not so much reinvent yourself, you can figure out who you truly are, right? Because in your hometown, you've been conditioned to think a certain way, or you have these traumas that you can't get away from. And it's because of the environment, right? So as soon as you change your environment, you can become the best version of yourself. But like, why do people come to Bali for that? They can go anywhere in the world. And then it just people, especially entrepreneurs, they choose Bali. Why do you think that is?
That's a good question. Can I just touch on one point? It's like running away from.
Yeah.
Do you know my tag on Instagram is Runaway Ruh?
Okay.
It was always built on that. I kind of changed it when I came to Bali. And then I started like changing that mindset a little bit, because I don't want to run away from something. I want to run towards something. I want to chase after the version of myself I want to become, right? So I think that might tie into why people come to Bali. It's because it's kind of known for this spiritual reawakening environment, right?
Absolutely.
And it's a very popular digital nomad space. So it offers the best of both worlds, where you could get in touch with your enlightened self while driving your financial projections.
There you go. It's a good point. It's a good point. And what I like about Bali as well is how everyone here is here to level up. Everyone's here to become the best version of themselves. And I remember I had one of my mentors, he asked me a question. He said, Joel, do you know what your purpose in life is? I was like, to help as many people as possible. He's like, no. That's your mission. Like, what is your purpose? And I was like, to do as much I can for charity. He said, no, your purpose. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I thought I knew my purpose. And he turned around and he said, listen, everyone's purpose is exactly the same. Everyone's purpose is to become the best versions of themselves. That is your purpose. But on top of that, you have lots of different layers. And I'm thinking, that's so true. So I feel like people that are coming here, they want to fulfill their purpose to become the best version of themselves. So to be around entrepreneurs that can help them, inspire them and just help them grow, right? But getting back to you, what do you do? Who is Ruh and what does Ruh do?
I guess in a lot of ways, I help other people become the best versions of themselves, but within the skill sets I have. So, and those skill sets were hard earned, to be honest. Like I had to heal myself. So I do what I call health consulting. My background is in biomedical physiology. I've done everything from chemistry lab work all the way to pain rehabilitation, running pain rehabilitation centers. So when I see the human body, to me, it's just like this puzzle to be unlocked to solve. And that's kind of how I cater to my clients. I kind of go through this deep dive into the client history, their symptomology. I use data metrics to understand what their current state of health is, usually through blood panels. Also, we could go into genetics with a predisposition. And from all of that, we kind of cater this custom-built solution for optimized health. And that's the difference with my service, is that it's optimized health. And a lot of people are missing that in their life. We kind of have this mediocre, laissez-faire like medical system that is beautiful for what it is meant to do, which is prevent death, but it does little to create health for people. So in essence, I create health. I want people to feel the best version of themselves, so they're endlessly able to chase their passions.
That's it. And I think especially as an entrepreneur, you know, because as entrepreneurs, all we want to do, we love business. We love talking business. We love creating. We love doing, you know, and sometimes you forget about your health. So it's like, you know, and that's how I ended up finding you as well, is because I've always wanted to become the best version of myself. I want to keep my youth. I want to keep my health, keep my friends, and I want to keep on growing and creating and doing things. But it gets to a point where sometimes you run out of energy. Sometimes you don't understand why you're feeling tired or how to re-energize. And I mean, you know, since being and getting trained with you and understanding it, I feel like I need less sleep and I've got more energy and I can do more and I'm more focused and I don't have that fog.
Yeah.
But why is it so important for entrepreneurs to really look after their health? And I think the better question is understand their health.
Ooh, very, very good point. I mean, let me just touch on one point. Understanding, I mean, without self-awareness, you cannot progress. Right? If you want to build your business, you need to know your financial current state and projections, and then you can create a systemized process of building increased income. You're the guy to talk about that. So let me talk about health, right? I'm just trying to make this analogy for your...
I like compliments.
But I can't... And when you say we're talking about mentorship, I can't wait for you to mentor me as well.
Let's go.
I'm so excited for that. Okay. Understanding your health is very important. And then what was the other question? Is how to progress it?
So understanding your health is the main thing. It's like, you know, we know it's important, but truly understanding what's going on in our body.
So there's a cool quote, and it's like, in any perfect system, the biggest flaw is human error, right? So if you want to build the best, most perfect business, at the end of the day, it's going to fall on you, the entrepreneur, the CEO, whatever role you have, whether that business is going to succeed or not.
Exactly.
And if you start faltering, if you start making mistakes, if you're not performing at your best, you're actually letting down your ethos of the business, your client, your stockholders, whatever the case might be. So when it comes to leadership, especially entrepreneurs tend to be more leaders, you have to set the example of how that business operates underneath you. So if you're showing up to work lackluster, emotionally direct, if that's a word, emotionally deprived, we're making words up here on this podcast. But like, just without that resilience to be able to operate your business, without that energy, boundless energy to influence and direct everybody else around you, you're going to you won't be optimized. You won't be able to make it in today's like level of competition.
Yeah.
Everyone's chasing the same dream, right? So what's going to set you apart from anybody else?
That's it. And the way I understood it as well is like, you know, the example you gave me was you have a business, you want to grow your business, you have to put in the SOPs, build the team, you know, you have to build the foundations. How can you grow if you don't have the foundations? It's the same as health, right? If you truly don't understand your health, how can you build those foundations? If you put too much strain on your body, it's going to collapse. If you don't have the right systems in place, your body's going to collapse. And it's the same with business, it's the same with your health. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they just work their absolute arse off. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, I've just lost my business because I've lost my health.
Mm.
And you see it all the time. So I want to talk about burnouts because I think burnouts with entrepreneurs is so common. I've burnt out 3 times in my life, and it's horrible. I've lost businesses because of burnouts.
Mm-hmm.
So how often do you see people burn out that come to you?
Oh, quite often.
So do people come to you after they've burnt out, or do they like, listen, I feel like I'm going down that road?
The worst is when people are just about to burn out and then they come to see you.
It's a bit too late.
It's almost like that road is already set upon. So what you're trying to do is mitigate the problems. And it happens to entrepreneurs a lot. Burnout is like, without getting too nerdy, it's like serotonin depletion as well. So your like happiness drug or your not endorphins, but your propensity to be able to wake up and feel happy gets depleted. And then that starts affecting every other pathway. Your acetylcholine starts getting lower, so your thinking processes start getting depleted. And a lot of entrepreneurs will be dopamine driven. This is like the drive, ambition, reward neurotransmitter in your brain. Most people that are dopamine driven are already serotonin deficient. So it's like a combination of you're predisposed to working your ass off and you're predisposed to burning out. But the problem is it's like this kind of roller coaster tycoon journey, right? Where it's like you're going up and down, up and down. But I mean, the most safest like bond to take is long term. Like the safest investment to take is something long term that returns slowly but can compound over time. So if you're going on this, failure, crashing, hitting zero, going up, making 10, 20, 50K, and then going back down, it's never going to be able to create continual progress. Just like in somebody's health, you have yo-yo diets. You have people that go work their ass off in the gym, get injured, and then have to take 3 months off. It's like, that is not how long-term success is bred. Consistency and long-term thinking is how you become long-term successful. So for entrepreneurs, when I do see them, it's all about building a systemized process for them to handle their business, not be taken away from it either.
Yeah.
Because I know
and that was my biggest concern. It was like, how much time is this going to take for me to, fill in my daily reports, like my meal plans, calculate. And I think that's why I've avoided a lot of coaches in the past, where it's like, I don't have time, I need someone who keeps me accountable. And you just made it so easy where I actually gain time rather than lose time.
Yes.
So that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs do, is they're like, oh yeah, but if I spend an hour doing that, that could be making me money. But the way that you've done it is just genius.
Thank you. I mean, the whole service I'm trying to provide is to take away all of the necessary requirements on your shoulders. The headache, what meals should I have? When do I order them? Like, kind of what you do is, here's your bill.
That's it.
Pay it weekly, and I'll handle everything else.
That's it. The training, the meals that she just arrived twice a day to my house. That's
like magic.
It's amazing. Somehow, it's amazing. But I want to quickly touch base on something, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are like, I take these certain supplements to give me energy. You should try it. And I think there's a lot of these supplement companies that are pushing products on people, and they're taking it without understanding if they need it or not. And I see that a lot. So what should every entrepreneur do before taking any kind of supplements?
It goes back to understanding your health.
Blood work
is such a key metric in my business. Like, it's what the foundation is built around, because it shows me the insights within your body. I pretty much built everything that I do for you is based on blood work. Because if your nutrition isn't on point, there's certain types of food that you should and should not have depending on the conditions your current body exhibits. Let's say you're very inflamed, right? Maybe we would put you on like a more fat-based diet, right? Maybe you are potentially having some sort of SIBO. We want to eliminate high FODMAP foods. Those are just like, there's change of fruit sugars that ferment and help feed bad bacteria in a sense, right? So understanding what your blood work can tell us about how your system is operating is how we create plans. From fitness to nutrition to supplements, I've seen it so many times that people implement the wrong intervention. First of all, it's just the wrong one.
Yeah.
But even the right intervention at the wrong time can still have negative outcomes.
Yeah.
So the holistic process of understanding the individual, and not just from bloods, but like their symptomology, like just understanding the person. Like, how sensitive are you to, life? How stressed out are you currently? How much sleep are you having? Are you able to commit yourself to certain protocols? Do you like taking supplements? Are you opposed to taking injectable biotechnologies, peptides and stuff like that? And understanding that, you could bring it together to build them a custom built solution, right?
Yeah. But when's the right time to do it? Because, you have these entrepreneurs, they're like, I'm just starting my business. I haven't made enough money to really have a personal coach. But then they're the ones that generally burn out or give up. So it's kind of like, chicken and egg story. It's like, do you invest more into yourself than you do your business? Or do you just work as hard as you can? It's a hard question to answer, I know. But, I'm saying it from experience. Like for me, it's like, I wanted to put all my time, effort, and money into my business. And I did that and then I burnt out. Now, knowing what I know now, it's like, well, let me prepare myself physically, mentally, health, while I'm doing it at the same time, so I can progress and I can get further. No, it's really interesting. I mean, it's so interesting seeing how many people out there have no idea what they're doing and they don't understand why they snap or why they can't grow, why they can't find their creativity in certain things. But let's talk about, because you've got some crazy stories, man. Like, some of the stories you've told me is just mind blowing. But what I want to kind of ask you, and if you're okay to share, is like, how did you end up into fitness? How did you end up doing what you're doing now?
I was not athletic growing up.
Okay.
Which might shock some people, but up to the age of 14, I was kind of like stuck to the screen type of individual, very introverted, very...
Introverted?
Yeah.
Wow.
Quite introverted.
Can't imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, traumatic upbringing, right? So when you're in pain, you have two really outlets. When I was really young, so two outlets is either you lash out or you go within. Yeah. When I was young, I went within. And when I got older, it was more predisposed to lashing out. So till the age of 14, I maybe played a little bit of like schoolyard soccer, and that's it. I was chubby. And then my brothers, they kind of saw the direction I was going, and they were martial artists. So they started grabbing me and taking me to training with them. And I'm
kicking the crap out of you.
Oh, bro, some of my brother's friends are like 6'6" and like strong, steroided out motherfuckers just laying on top of me while I was 16, choking me, and they're dirty. Some of them were fucking dirty, dude. I remember I went up against this guy, and he just claw my what's it called, my trachea, and he's not even trying to choke me, he's trying to rip out my fucking throat pipe. As a 16-year-old, it toughens you up a little bit, but so that was my entry point into fitness and actually activity and challenge and competition, and I fucking loved it. It's beautiful. I'm a huge fan of martial arts. It's one of my passions. Not that I pursued it in any extent, but strong extent. It's something I want to get back to. And then that led to training and trying to be stronger, and that led into an outlet for me, actually. It was like a place where I could release stress and, battle my inner demons in the safest, most fruitful fashion. But I was terrible at it, to be honest. I was athletic. I figured it out somehow. But when I was 27, my body was completely broken. I'd broken both my ankles at a time. Multiple concussions, broken collarbones. So there was a lot of injuries that had shin, fists, dislocated shoulders. So my body was wrecked. I was bartending, right? And I would be shaking a martini glass. I'd throw out my back, shaking a martini. And I'm like, this is, as a 26-year-old, I think that was embarrassing. It was my body should not be at this decrepit state at this age. So then I started investing in rehabilitation. At the same time, I was partying a lot. So I had a lot of internal problems as well. My gut was fucked. neuroinflammation. I started researching early onset Alzheimer's because I started losing things at a very young age. I lost my cell phone, my wallet multiple times. I would lose track of directions. And this is just like brain fog to the highest extent.
Wow.
When you like live a poor lifestyle, poor sleep, drugs, alcohol, all of these things coming together, it just is not conducive for proper function.
But what about mentally?
Oh, dude, I was terrified because the one thing I always had as like me was my like cognitive like power, my potential, my intellect, right? I started losing it. And when you identify so strongly with something and you lose it, you start questioning what's left of you.
Wow.
When COVID happened and I lost my job because I was PTing at that time, lost my job, I lost fitness, gyms got closed down. You start questioning who am I, what defines me at this point. And those were very beautiful things to go through because one, I do want to hold on to my intellect. It's one of the most important things for me because it's what allows me to serve and allows me to communicate. You need it, right? So being able to re-achieve that was profound for me because I know the value of it and why people should preserve their health and what it means to lose it because it's terrifying. Once you lose it, I was very blessed and fortunate. I was young. But if I went down that path, one thing a lot of people don't understand is disease takes about 10 to 15 years to develop.
Yeah.
Maybe 25, depending on it. It's getting faster. People are getting cancer sooner. People are getting heart conditions sooner. It's getting faster. So we have to be mindful of it. But once it starts, you could easily turn it back. But sometimes you lose a little bit of it. I don't know if I'm cognitively performing at the best I've ever done before. But I'm so grateful to be where I am now to how I felt before. So I lost that, I regained it. Now that's part of the service I provide other people is like regaining your potential. It's corny. I named my business Ruh Training. My name is Ruh. It's nothing to do with me. It's soul. That's what the Ruh means. It's soul. It's like recapturing your soul, reigniting your passions. The Phoenix Protocol is all about reviving your potential, right? It's all about, hey, you're asleep. Let's wake up, let's get it back. And then the other part of it was always, more than just fitness, I had like this mental work I did at that time. And I'm like, man, well, like what would happen if I just got into an accident and I was paralyzed? And if I don't know how I would react if I was paralyzed from the neck down, because that would mean that somebody would have to take care of me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want that. But if I was paralyzed from the waist down, I mean, there's so much beauty in life that if you start thinking that you're defined by just one thing, then you're not seeing yourself for your true potential, right? And I'm like, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to fucking go draw. I'll become an artist. I'll be back into music. There's so much opportunity for me. So, man, I've had so many like, ups and downs with health and fitness and well-being. And it just has only showed me that how important it is. And it's like, fuck, I want to do that for the rest of my life. For myself, yeah, sure. But then, man, the biggest reward is when you could do it for other people too.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. And there's something that I always say is like, the definition of hell is when you're on your deathbed and you meet the person you could have become, but didn't. You didn't take the right steps to look after your health, And then there was a quote that I read today. I can't remember exactly how it went, but it's just basically, are you living the best possible life you can? And if you're not, it's because you're scared of taking one step. So take that step. That first step is always going to be scary for any entrepreneur. Like any entrepreneur, that first initial step is like, what if I fail? And I had a conversation with one of our students last night. We were talking about, so we've got one of our topics in our academy is building your tribe, creating your tribe, and we were talking about how he needs to get out of his comfort zone, how he needs to go and start going to network meetings, how to introduce himself. And he hasn't done it. And I said, why haven't you done it? And he said, oh, because what if people judge me? What if I foul? What if, what if people don't like me? I said, that's absolutely fine, because there's always going to be people that like you and don't like you. Throughout your journey, you got to understand that you can't make everyone happy. You can't get everyone to understand how important health is, right? So I told him to read this book called Taming Your Gremlin. And it's basically a small little book, very easy to read. The whole story is basically, in our minds, we have this gremlin, right? So whenever we want to do something and we don't do it, it's because this gremlin is telling us we're not good enough. We shouldn't do it. We have different priorities. So what I always say is, like, name this gremlin. Write down a name for this gremlin. Draw what this gremlin looks like. So every time you're about to do something and it doesn't feel good, you can say, okay, my gremlin's called Peter, it's green, ugly, and this is what it looks like. I'm like, Peter, get out of my head. You can't tell me what to do. I'm doing this. I know who you are. And all of a sudden you're separating your identity to your true identity, the identity that stops you from doing things. Now that you've taken away Peter, the gremlin, it doesn't matter what people say. So get used to being uncomfortable, and especially with entrepreneurs. And this is the reason why we do this podcast, is because we want people to know that every single entrepreneur that I speak to didn't have a easy start. There was a lot of failures, but it's understanding that it's okay to fail. It's understanding that, people may not understand why you're on this journey or what you're doing it for. But if you know 100% that no matter what anyone says, I'm sure you've had people that said to you, what are you doing? Why don't you go and study? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? You're like, no, I know where I'm going. Thank you very much, but I'm on my journey. If you don't support me, see you later. And I think that's what entrepreneurs need to do, is if friends, family don't support your, in the nicest possible way, your mission that you want to be on, as hard as it is, you need to say, see you later. I'll talk to you in 6 months, And there's something that you said as well before, is about just go in monk mode. You need to really figure out where you want to go, what you want to do, and just focus on that. So my question to you, for anyone out there who's looking to start something, how do they find their passion? Because some people just don't know what they want to do.
I mean, there's so many ways to go about this, but I do have a quote that I always like to share, because I've coached coaches. So it's something that always comes up. And I say, from your biggest pains and your biggest pleasures comes your greatest purpose, right? So for me, the pain that I felt was, pain, but also a lack of potential. I'm a health coach, but I really care about just helping people succeed, right? Yeah. I will do that health. I'll take care of the health side so that they could take care of themselves in their own path. So that was the pain. The other pains I've had, on a deeper level, I didn't have a role model, and I didn't know how to get myself out of pain. When we went through all of that, I didn't know. So those were my pain points. But the skills to get yourself out of pain, you have to usually find a route and a vehicle, right? A skill set. So the skill set for me was fitness. It was personal development. It was listening to the right people and, bringing in the right crowd of, local support.
Yeah.
So from that became pleasure, because it left me my enlightened self. It awakened me. And so from your biggest pain and pleasure comes your greatest purpose. I'm like, fuck, this feels good. And everyone deserves to feel this.
Absolutely.
So somewhere out there, somebody has a skill set that they haven't even recognized.
100%. I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to a life coach, and I said to them, and it was a bit of an awkward question. I was like, listen, you're only 21. How can you be a life coach? And they said to me, Joel, they said, it's not about having the knowledge. It's about asking the right questions. And I thought, that's exactly what a salesperson does, a closer does. So I'm thinking this 21-year-old is making, over 100K a month as a life coach.
Good for him.
And I'm thinking, wow, that's so true. So I started asking some questions, and she said the way that she ended up life coaching is because she wanted to help people. How can you help people is by truly getting someone to convince themselves otherwise. So it's the same with salespeople. So I think if you do like helping people, I think sales is definitely something, especially with the skills, is helping people influence that, themselves to reach their purpose, right? To become the best
100%.
version of themselves. But it's really interesting, especially if you don't know what you want to do. Sales is always good because it gives you the skill to bring in money, and then you can start investing into other courses, programs, and really seeing what attracts you, right? Nice, man. Very, very nice. One last question, bro.
Can I say something about sales?
Oh, please. This is what the podcast is about.
I think everyone should learn sales.
They should teach it at school.
They should teach it in school because it says so much about an individual, where their morals lie, how they can communicate with other people, and also the art of connecting with the other person. You know more about sales than I do, but I'll tell you where I went wrong with my business was I was a really poor salesman, right? Because and the thing that changed for me was like I started believing in my product. So that really helped a lot. And it kind of unfolded the path across. But just because you believe in your product, which I always did, to a certain extent, you still have to be able to communicate it. And if I want to change people's lives, and I think I have such a beautiful product that can help other people, but if I don't know how to communicate that to somebody else, because sales is just, hey, it's not getting them to make the financial transaction. It's making them commit to how this is going to serve them for a better cause. And if you can't do that for somebody, you can't help them.
Yeah.
I know what I could do for people. I believe in it. So when I know how to also sell and like break down some walls now, I'm getting better at it. I know how to dig into their pain. I need to understand what their boundaries are and how to overcome their objections. I see the path a little bit clearer now. But at the same time, I've lost so many people I could help.
Absolutely.
I could help. And that's where it's like, no, you're actually doing this for a greater purpose. So this is where the morality of it comes. You have to believe in the product, and please go sell something that is going to do something better for the world. Ethical, that you believe in. It'll make your job so much easier, if nothing else. And then from that, understand that this is going to be feeding forward into every interaction you ever do. Because if you can't sell an item, you can't sell yourself. And if you can't sell yourself, you're going to be lonely, you're going to be purposeless, and you're not going to be making the impact that you want.
Exactly. And the biggest thing I see with entrepreneurs that have their own business is because they love their product so much, they push their product too hard. And let me give you an example. Let's say you walk into a electrical store and you want to buy a TV, right? The sales guy comes up to you and asks you, hey, what are you looking for? I'm looking for a TV. This TV is the best. It's 50-inch. It's 3D. It's the highest tech. This is the only one you should buy. There's no other one better than this TV. And then you turn around and be like, oh, well, actually, I don't like 3D, and I'm only looking for a small one for my kitchen. If you're saying this is the best, I don't want it. And then walks out.
I've done that so many times.
So why does that happen? Is because you believe so much in your product, you forget that maybe that's not the product for them. Or maybe you need to ask them certain questions to understand what they're looking for and tailor make your product to sound like that's what they're looking for. So it's about asking the right questions and then using their words while you're presenting your product. So it's like, how you said you're really looking for that accountability where someone can come and, make sure they can do X, Y, Z. Well, this is what this part of the program does. It gives you that accountability. And I think I remember you saying before that you saw another program where you tried something and didn't work because really you was looking for X, Y, Z. Well, that is what this part is. So all of a sudden they're like, well, you're just telling me exactly what I'm looking for. Absolutely, I want it. That's why it's so important to ask certain questions to get information out of the prospect or out of the potential client to tailor make the product for them. But it's not tailor-made. You know what they're looking for, but it just sounds more custom-made for them.
It's like leading them to make the decision that you've already morally made for them because you know it's the right product for them.
Exactly.
But without them seeing it in their own perspective, there's always going to be a wall between them.
I like it. There you go, bro. There you go. So yeah, I'm looking forward to just sitting down with you, chatting, brainstorming, and that's what I like about Bali. You know, there's so many entrepreneurs like yourself looking to level up. But what would you suggest, or what would you advise someone who is a 9-to-5er, wants to start living location free, wants to try something but doesn't know what to do? Where do you think they should start?
I would say that you need to understand what your living expenses are, what your time is worth, and how much of your time you're investing in your future rather than in something that is not creating the life you want. So from a basic standpoint, if you need $3,000 to live, and honestly, you could get by $3,000. And then you dollar equate that to the hours you need to spend on your job. Okay, that's as much as you should technically be working. Because if your job pays you $50 an hour, $20 an hour, $500 an hour, but you value your time and the estimation of your time that you could, the value you could create in the future, add more than that, then you're better served investing in your future than your current role or career. So then after that, you need to go and actually learn. You need to invest in yourself. You have to acquire skill sets that solve problems people have. And if you've been able to solve those problems for yourself, that's a good place to start. Because if you had that problem, somebody else probably has that problem too. And the bigger the problem you could solve, the faster you could solve it.
The more money you make.
And the quicker you start living the life of your dreams.
Exactly. Brother, that's what we got time for today. Thank you very much.
Of course, man. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for getting me in shape, being in the best shape of my life, and just feeling good. And that's it. I just want to say, guys, again, look after your health. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're working crazy hours, or even if you're working a couple of hours a day, look after your health, because I'm sure you want to live as long as you can, as healthy as you can, pain-free, and live until tomorrow, as they say.
Living as this young stud does himself.
There you go.
Bro, you're an absolute inspiration. I'm sure everyone that follows you knows that. You've been quite a blessing to have come into my life. And
appreciate it, man.
We're not, I wouldn't even say we're very common in our yes, you come from a different world than I do. But the beautiful part about it is I connected with you because you're a good fucking person.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
I'll do anything for you, bro.
Love it. Appreciate you, bro.
Of course.
And that's all we got time for today. See you on the next one.